The TVWAN News is proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.
Hello and welcome. I'm Maricela Kelleton. This is TVWAN News.
And I'm Terry Longwood. Join me later on in the bulletin for news of sports.
In this edition, ABG conducting constitution consultations, City Authority addresses vandalism, and Hunters prep for second home game. The Bougainville Constitutional Planning Commission will have the final draft of its constitution by the first quarter of 2025 in preparation for independence by 2027. The Commission is currently facilitating consultations throughout Papua New Guinea to gauge the views of Bougainvilleans in all corners of the country. The Bougainville Constitutional Planning Commission have completed consultations in Bougainville and are now conducting The Bougainville Constitutional Planning Commission have completed consultations in Bougainville and are now conducting consultations in Papua New Guinea. The aim to meet with Bougainvilleans in Papua New Guinea and gather opinions on the constitution, whereby a draft is required to be presented in the first quarter of 2025. During these consultations, the committee are discussing the main features of a democratic structure of government suitable for independent Bougainville.
So constitutional process we blow about long and here. Be like making clear here, me all Bougainvilleans now online, all 7 months me. We are not second guessing. We blow walk about long consult international government, you blow kiss him independence, because we are not second guessing. People are not against fire. The people of Bougainville, long referendum, each and every Bougainvillean personally made that choice.
The strive for independence has been a long journey. It's been a long journey. We've had many elder statesmen before us who have tried to secure this independence through the formal processes. We have had our history declarations for independence, and then we have the crisis where 20,000 lives were lost. So this is no ordinary journey. People have lived and died and made peace and negotiated for independence. Now, in order to have that society that you want, which you voted for, there's a compulsory need to have a constitution. The commission, they have a set timeline. They are required to present the final draft by the first quarter of 2025. After this consultation, we will submit all the instructions to the draftsman, and the draftsman will craft out the first draft. Once that first draft is done, we'll carry the draft and we'll move around again and consult with our people, both in Bougainville and outside of Bougainville.
The autonomous Bougainville government's Vice President and Minister for Commerce, Trade, Industry and Economic Development, Patrick Nisira, on Tuesday, May 2nd, announced in a press conference that Bougainville is open for business. The autonomous Bougainville government states that they place an emphasis on downstream processing of commodities, particularly cocoa and copra, fisheries and mineral resources to add value and increase the foreign earnings.
We believe this could enhance our capacity to redirect our focus towards promoting import substitution. The challenge remains that the government lacks the necessary resources and the technical expertise to promote downstream processing. We therefore will welcome the foreign investors and stakeholders to partner with ABG and the people of Bougainville to develop industry in the region.
Nisira emphasized the significance of reminding the international business communities that Bougainville has its own Bougainville Inward Investment Act 2018 and the board to assess foreign investment applications.
We are looking to deliver on the autonomous Bougainville government's ambition for a strong local economy, which will be recognized both nationally and internationally as a good place for business investments.
In relation to industrial development, Nisira says the concept of a special economic zone is one of potential industrial development concepts that will encourage duty-free and tax-free zones for goods and services in selected sites in Bougainville, including the development of financial hubs to make Bougainville attractive for investment. An investment of 2 million kina was made to support women, girls and their families in the autonomous region of Bougainville in the space of financial inclusion. Women's Microbank Limited partnered with the regional member for Bougainville, Peter Siama Lili Jr., to establish an agency in Buka.
The 2 million kina investment by the Office of the Regional Member for Bougainville to the Women's Microbank Limited will enable the local people to have access to financial services and credit facility to support Arab's economic plans in empowering entrepreneurship. The recognition was from proper banking services for women to save and grow their hard-earned money through access to financial services and credit facility. During the MOU signing last month, Minister Siama Lili announced that the Arab is committed to working with Mama Bank to establish the bank's agency in Buka town and roll out the MSME credit scheme. He added that this will create an avenue for his people to adequately have access to credit, to enable them to play a more active role in the economic development and contribution of the region. The Arab government and Mama Bank are prepared to consider the provision of loan facilities to borrowers through direct and through different available suppliers. These include farmers and fishermen who are unable to provide security of a type or in an amount which banks would be requiring in the normal course of its operations. Mama Bank CEO Gunanidi Das thanked Minister Siama Lili Jr. and the Arab governments for having the vision for the region and that they have taken the right move to economic freedom for their people. Jasmine Nero, TVWAN News.
Prime Minister James Marape will officiate at the 3-day Papua New Guinea Special Economic Zone Summit to be held in Port Moresby from May 7th to the 9th. The event, organized by Department of International Trade and Investment, will bring together SEZ experts from around the world, government departments and agencies, private sector and the provinces to discuss the establishment of SEZs in PNG. Marape, who has been spearheading establishment of SEZs since passage of the SEZ Authority Bill in 2019, will open the summit on the evening of Sunday, May 7. City Manager Frank Ravu has announced a total ban on the sale and consumption of betel nut in public places throughout Port Moresby, including Boroko Precinct and downtown Central Business District. This comes after the recent defacing and vandalism of newly installed skip bins at Boroko Precinct by betel nut spittle.
In Port Moresby, City Manager Ravel Frank has expressed his disappointment over the recent vandalism of public assets in the city. However, after the installation of 8 new skip bins at Boroko Precinct just 4 days ago, they were all defaced with red betel nut spittle. Ravu expressed his disappointment with the behavior of a few individuals who have disregarded public property, including streetlights and flower beds. He emphasized that the city provides residential, educational, business, and employment opportunities to improve the quality of life for its residents and their families, and such behavior cannot be accepted as the norm. Ravu urged the general public to take ownership of their rubbish and report any vandalism immediately to authorities, such as NCDC or the nearest police station. The city residents are urged to work together with the municipal authority to protect city assets and discourage reckless behavior by few individuals. Karakito Jr., TV1 News.
You're watching TV1 News. We'll be back with more after these messages.
It was during and after COVID that really motivated me to want to take up life insurance. I think savings is very important, and I think One Talk Delight provides a disciplined approach to savings, and it's a good investment to want to think about the future, because it's always nice to have plans for what you want to do later on.
With you for life.
Whether we're playing sport, exercising for fitness, being active for work or play, just having some fun, or just chilling, there is one name we can count on that we know will keep us going strong. Skell Rice. Healthy, nutritious, delicious medium grain rice full of vitamins and minerals. Skell helps us maintain a healthy, active lifestyle so we can enjoy every day.
Skell Rice. Skell Rice.
A true champion is measured by their courage, their determination, and their passion to never give up and to always keep trying. With a delicious Milo in milk taste and added nutrients, Milo in milk is a great way to fuel our little champions with nourishing energy every day. Because true champions give it their all.
Milo, PNG and Mia. Buying PNG made.
Our journey starts with you. We'll be there from the start, right through to your life's adventures. We'll ensure comfort and make your safety our priority. We'll take you to memorable moments, no matter where it begins. And we'll get you there like we've always done. The 4th generation coaster bus, more than just a bus.
Right across the nation, we eat snack crackers. Emi trubla. All get a young planalapun, only like him snacks crackers. Only make him here, no PNG, one-time lay biscuit company. It's crunchy and tasty. It's irresistible.
Racing away, someone coming through, Lucana says see you later.
The Journalism and Public Relations strand at the University of PNG ended its World Media Freedom Day program with a panel discussion at the new lecture theatre Wednesday evening. The theme was Shaping a Future of Rights, Freedom of Expression as a Driver for All Other Human Rights.
World Media Freedom Day was commemorated on Wednesday by the University of Papua New Guinea under the Journalism and Public Relations strand. The day ended with panel discussion at the new lecture theatre. The theme was Shaping a Future of Rights, freedom of expression is a driver for all other human rights. In his introductory remarks, Executive Dean for the School of Humanities and Social Science, Professor Leo Morai, spoke about the importance of commemorating the day.
Today, we gather to reflect on the importance of free and responsible media in promoting democracy, accountability, and human rights. As members of the academic community, we recognize the importance of these values and the responsibility we have to promote and defend them.
On the panel was Chief Censor at the Office of Censorship, Jim Abani, Marketing and Communications Manager at Hilton Hotel, Florida Gulaseni, and Mr. Shongol, Deputy Secretary and CEO for the Department of ICT. The three guests spoke of their work, aligning it to freedom of expression, journalism, roles and responsibilities.
I also call on all practicing journalists or those who are in the field, and also the upcoming content writers, producers, to be very mindful about the information that we disseminate.
Journalism and public relations students, as well as journalists and marketing officers in the field, attended and asked questions to members of the Media Council and panelists. Secretary for the Media Council, Belinda Cora, gave insights to the council and addressed issues like dissemination of misleading information.
Mainstream media outlets, everything you see on the front page, the first story, the second story, and the first page, second page, that's determined by the editors of the newsroom. If we do get complaints, like the council gets complaints because you named Morrison instead of the current Prime Minister, or the picture, or the headline was misleading, you have the right to complain to the council and we deal with the editors. When we want to deal with them, we basically tell them, look, you did this maybe okay, but maybe you should have done this better. Or we just advise the editors that they should do better in editing for the next day and for similar stories.
A cake was cut in honor of Media Freedom Day 2023. Jasmine Eru, TVWAN News.
Book Bilang Pikinini highlights the remarkable efforts of Sunny Pini, a student at Somerville House in Brisbane, who organized a book drive for Book Bilang Pikinini. With the support of the entire primary school community, Sunny has managed to collect 30 boxes of children's books for the course. Growing up in Papua New Guinea, Sunny knows all too well the impact that books can have on students and has taken it upon herself to make a difference. Sunny said that she wanted to do something to give back to her community in PNG. The Somerville House community came together to support Sunny's cause, and the books donated will undoubtedly go a long way in promoting literacy and fostering a love of reading among young students in Papua New Guinea. Erima Primary School in the Strollable Bay LLG of Rai Coast District in Medan received cartons of much-needed school books and a check of 300,000 kina from the government of China on Thursday, 27 April, when the Chinese ambassador to PNG, Zhen Fenwa, made a visit to the school. Ambassador Zhen Fenwa was in the province also to visit the headquarters of the Ramu Nickel and Cobalt mine in Medan. He was hosted by the governor for Medan, Ramsey Pariwa.
Students, teachers and the community of Erima in Strollable Bay LLG were delighted to receive the books from the government of China to enhance students' learning. The additional 300,000 kina check is to help with the construction of an office complex for the school. The community organized traditional dancing and singing were the order of the day to celebrate the gifts and to show appreciation to the donors. Ambassador Fan, who has also met with the chairman of Ramunico Management Limited at the company's headquarters in Medang Town before proceeding to an official meeting with Governor Pariwa. The discussions were on critical development issues such as infrastructure, education, and agriculture. Ramunico is the Chinese government's biggest mining investment in Papua New Guinea and the Southern Pacific region. MCC is mining nickel and cobalt at the Kurumbukari mine in Usinabundi district, while its processing plant and wharf facility is at Basamuk Bay in Raikos district. Frida Kana, TV1 News.
Edai Town has reached another historical milestone this week with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the SME Corporation and Edai Town, creating a public-private partnership to set up a business incubation center for the southern region to nurture the development of SME businesses in line with the national government policy. The signing, which took place on Tuesday, 2nd May, is expected to enhance the spirit of HIRI.
The success of SME development in the country rests on the shoulder of the private sector within a framework of support by the government, says Edai Town Director Kim Yong during the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding between the SME Corporation and Edai Town.
So what we've been trying to do is to get the private sector and public sector together into a partnership arrangement because the government cannot drive SME on its own. It needs the private sector. But the private sector, SME is not all well organized like you have commerce and trade bodies and manufacturers or whatever. SME is a lot of small businesses or people aspiring to go into business.
Young said Edai Town hopes to be the voice of SMEs for those living within the vicinity of the LNG plant site in the Hiri West. John Pora, chairman of SME Corporation and as Southern Region Board representative, said partnerships with private sector is necessary because 90% of the land is owned by ILGs. Therefore, the government is unable to provide services easily.
And I think it's a testament to the fact that once you have a vision and you hold on to it and you have a really good team around it that consistently faces the challenges, this is what's possible, you know. And to be on this land in the timing of the project, such as big as the LNG project, requires us to look at the relationships all around, and then the structures of government, and then the partnerships of nation building, which is the economy, which is our people.
Chairman of Boira Holdings, Semoy Ave, was delighted that something tangible was happening at Edai Town. He explained the original purpose of HIRI to bring meaning to this partnership.
Cycle of HIRI stops when the whole Lakatoy has to be pulled apart. It has to be pulled apart because the teaching is, if you want to feed yourself, you have to get off your backside, build a Lakatoy, encourage women to make the forts. Because if you don't do that, you will starve to death.
Semoy said the land is non-arable with very little rainfall, and so they have to work hard to survive. It is in the spirit of Edai with enterprise and hard work that they are able to pull through throughout the ages. Frida Kana, TV1 News.
Chairman of Boira Holdings, Semoy Ave, as an indigenous landowner of Edai Town, said at the signing of a MOU between the SME Corporation and Edai Town this week that Motu Koita people are condemned to the margins of agriculture because of poor rainfall in their area. But through enterprise and hard work, you can pull through the ages, which is the lesson they want to bring this Memorandum of Understanding to support SMEs.
Here, when you look at it, or the Lakatoy, it's an SME. It starts off with an idea, an enterprise. Johnny didn't wait for any handout from the government. So SME Corporation, don't be afraid of making mistakes. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. While Brian was selling fish and chips in Morocco, me and Larry were selling vegetables, breaking all the rules in the city by selling vegetables outside Benchfield. Brian, I made more money in selling vegetables than joining the public service. That was my biggest mistake.
This is TV1 News. When we return, a look at what's making headlines in the region.
There's a sense of pride when you're able to do something right, a financial decision that has just really good benefits. With BSP Life Insurance, there's that alleviation of that worry when you pass away. The benefits of the BSP Life Insurance would meet those expenses on behalf of my family. If you're young and you have kids, you owe it to your children to make sure they're not left behind when you pass on.
With you for life.
All One Talks adds some excitement to your festivities with the Flame Easter Bonanza. Win a slice of a whopping 300,000 kina by purchasing the Flame Family Bundle Pack, which includes rice, sugar, flour and vegetable oil, all in one go. Highlight these goodies on your receipt and scribble your full name and contact details on the back and pop it in the entry box in selected stores across PNG. 4 fortnightly draws, 100 winners, 3,000 kina each. You don't want to miss out. This promotion ends on the 31st of May. Flame, strength and energy. Terms and conditions apply.
Hiya, Mama. You wait then, but me add him special flavor.
Put in more flavor, put in more taste. Magic kakaru, get up a big smile on face. Time for kim chicken, a great kumutu. Sip, sip, the moo, yes, magic on you.
Maggi, the taste PNG loves.
He says the best Hunters players come from his region. So does she. But there's one thing that brings everyone together. SB Lager, Bunyamyumi.
Tired of sniffing, sneezing, and congestion? Stop popping pills that don't help. Get essential vitamins found in nature through these supplements that are formulated to reduce the symptoms of common colds and flu. Boost your body's immunity with these supplements that provide a protective shield against nasal congestion, sneezing, mild bronchial cough, and sore throats. Walk into a city pharmacy and pick up a bottle of Nature's Way Garlic Plus C and Horseradish or the sugar-free Cenovis Sugarless Vitamin C tablets and say goodbye to sickness. Available at a city pharmacy near you.
Of a premiership winning outfit. Back-to-back 4-pointers. The Melbourne Storm hit back. It's been knocked on, scooped up by Mitchell, who scores. Got it. Scores a level. Scores a level. We've got about 17 seconds left.
He's starting to get busy. Can he turn it on for the Eagles? 3 or 4 times as well. Siren sounds. It's a great kick.
Welcome back. The development of an El Nino climate pattern in the Pacific Ocean this year is more and more likely, with dangerously high temperatures and extreme weather events expected, says the World Meteorological Organization. El Nino and La Nina are natural phenomena which WMO describes as major drivers of the Earth's climate system. After a 3-year La Nina spell, which is associated with ocean cooling, the world faces an 80% chance of an El Nino event developing between July and September. Signs are a warming of the ocean surface in the central and eastern tropical Pacific Ocean, with a slightly lesser likelihood it may develop even earlier. The state government is celebrating a significant reduction in ambulance ramping as it prepares for a surge in winter demand. But free flu vaccines for all won't be part of the plan, as it says national health advice is to offer them only to the most at risk.
It's the latest part of the state government's plan to reduce ramping. A Labor election promise the State Health Control Centre will coordinate ambulances and hospitals.
We've had nowhere across the whole health system that's had an eye on what's happening right from ambulance 000 calls right through to discharging people outside of hospitals.
The Health Minister says there's much to do to achieve the government's promise to fix the ramping crisis, but this month it's good news. Ambulances spent 2,810 hours ramping in April, a high number, but almost 30% lower than the record high hit in March.
That's obviously incredibly welcome to see these big turnaround in the figures over the past month, but we know we have a very long way to go still in improving the health system.
What I would say, it's very inconsistent from what we're hearing from paramedics, from patients, from clinicians in hospitals, the cold whites that we've had over recent days.
The government has launched its winter demand plan, including more triage spaces and more ambulances and nursing staff at emergency departments. But one thing it won't include is a free flu program, similar to the one it rolled out last year, with health experts saying it didn't have a big impact.
Really a 3% increase is not, in the scheme of things, from a public health point of view, it was a negligible increase, and I think actually distracted from the message that we need to get to all parents to get their young ones vaccinated.
Professor Spurrier says it's most important for children to get vaccinated, and they get free jabs through the federal government's program, along with the over 65s, First Nations people and those with certain medical conditions.
The director of the National Museum of Australia has announced he's leaving the job after what he's called a challenging 10 years. Matthew Trinker says funding cuts, COVID, bushfires and subpar facilities put strain on his institution, and he's calling on his successor to continue telling the story of the frontier wars between black and white Australians.
The reproduction of the platypus.
Matt Trinker rose through the ranks at the National Museum of Australia to become its longest-serving director.
And I've thought about it hard, but I've decided not to ask to be reappointed. Organisations like this need refreshment. They need changes in leadership.
During his decade at the top, Dr Trinker cemented the institution's place not just as a top tourist attraction, but also as a leader in contemporary social reflection. He oversaw much-needed gallery renewal and in a run of blockbuster exhibitions brought the best of the British Museum to Canberra, even convincing the institution to return to Australia some of the first artefacts controversially souvenired by Captain Cook.
And to see now a museum in the United Kingdom decide to return some of those spears permanently, that's a milestone step, really, not for the museum, but for First Nations people.
And Matt Trinker says the National Museum must go further to fearlessly tell the brutal early history of colonisation.
The simple and honest truth is that those moments in the early colonial period were devastating for Aboriginal people, and there was war here on the Australian continent. We all have to be honest about that deep truth that is there in our past.
Dr Trinker says the frontier wars will take a more prominent place in the museum after a record $80 million injection from the Albanese government.
You know, no one wants to leave an organisation when it's in financial peril, and this news has meant that the organisation, the museum, is able to plan and think about the next 4 years with a degree of comfort and certainty.
Matthew Trinker will leave the museum in January, with the government expected to announce his successor before the end of this year.
Refugee advocates are calling on the federal government to increase support for Sudanese nationals who were visiting Australia when deadly conflict broke out in Sudan. But there in Australia, temporary visa holders have been stuck in limbo, desperate for the government to clarify their options.
Afaf Sanada was visiting her son and daughter-in-law Sarah and meant to return home on a flight to Sudan today.
Unfortunately, my booking is cancelled and there is no way to go back.
Her family is desperate for the federal government to clarify what support is available.
What I don't want for them is to be stuck in limbo,
not knowing what's going to happen to them.
Sudanese nationals currently here in Australia can apply for permanent protection visas, but the wait times are up to 5 years. Nationals from Ukraine and Afghanistan were previously afforded special visa conditions, including faster visa processing times and the offer of new visa options.
It's up to the government to decide its priorities in terms of specific allocations for specific crises.
We need to see consistent, effective responses from government, no matter where a person is coming from.
We want everyone who's stranded here to have the chance to not just take from this country, but also contribute to its welfare. Being able to work is being able to give back. It's being able to build a community. It's being able to pay taxes.
Those longing to return home fear the conflict could drag on for months, but are hoping the government will better understand their plight.
This is a human crisis, and every human being deserves the right to a decent life.
A call for support in an uncertain future.
Back home, Prime Minister James Marape has appealed to Papua New Guineans to be cautious when making negative comments about the visit of US President Joe Biden and Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said this following an increase in number of negative comments and conversations in public domains. PM Marape asked that citizens appreciate such a visit by these world leaders.
US President Joe Biden will make a historic visit to the country on Monday, May 22, 2023. He will have a bilateral meeting with Prime Minister James Marape and 18 other Pacific Island leaders of the Pacific Islands Forum, who will be in Port Moresby at the same time for the Forum for India-Pacific Islands Cooperation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will also visit the country at the same time. Prime Minister James Marape appealed to citizens to be welcoming and appreciative of such a visit and limit the amount of negative comments or conversations surrounding this important occasion. He said such visits are not easy to organize and that of all Indo-Pacific countries, PNG was chosen. He encouraged all citizens to put on a fitting welcome for President Biden and Prime Minister Modi and participate in making their short stay memorable. Freddie Moe, TVWAN News.
The Technical Vocational Education Training Program of the NCD Governor's Office of the TVET branch hosted its first workshop on Tuesday this week with key stakeholders at the City Hall to reframe the program towards meeting skilled labor needs in the country, the entire Pacific and beyond.
The NCDC Governor's Office recently hosted a workshop with key stakeholders to reframe the Technical Vocational Education Training, or TVET program, towards meeting skilled labor needs in the country and beyond. The stakeholders who attended the workshop were recipient institutions including government-run vocational centers, technical colleges, World Bank, training service providers, labor supply companies, and private-run institutions. Also in attendance were TVET coordinators for the 3 districts. Delivering his opening speech, NCD Governor Paus Pakop said, unlike all other provinces, NCD's only asset is human resource. He said NCD does not host revenue-generating petroleum, mining, and agriculture and aquaculture projects. Governor Pakop's vision for the program is to get our city to be a skills city, especially for young people in all areas of technical and technological skills. This is vital both for the city and for the country, and equally vital for their own pathways. The Office of the Governor has offered TVET scholarships to more than 35,000 young people in the past 16 years. Governor Pakop stressed that quality output remains a big challenge. He challenged the respective TVET program administrators for Moresby South, Northeast, and Northwest districts to lift the game and align with his vision. The workshop was aimed at having stakeholders understand and support NCD's new direction for TVET program. Stakeholders will be aligned with NCD's vision for Port Moresby to be a skills city, and they will strengthen their support for NCD TVET. They will also commit to working with NCDC to ensure that TVET program produces a competitive workforce regionally and globally. Governor Parkop reminded the attendees of the importance of having an alumni for the recipients of the program, saying, "This is a need to have an alumni. We need to develop a database and to put a program together to enable us to better monitor and mentor the recipients and for them to partner the city to show gratitude and be part of the transformation we are doing for the city." The workshop was a success and stakeholders left the City Hall Annex with a better understanding of NCDC's new direction for TVET program. Carol Kiddo Jr., TV1 News.
And that ends the news segment. We now have a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. That was the weather forecast. Terry Lonwood joins us with news in Host Plus Cup and Cricket PNG Farewell's Greg Campbell. That's after the break. Stay tuned.
Remember the joy of playing with your toys as a child? At Money Plus, we believe that every small business deserves a chance to build and grow. That's why we offer asset financing.
Chance to building something new, to see a different point of view. With Money Plus, we're ready to go.
Mipla halivim wari belong you.
The 38th Australia Papua New Guinea Business Farm and Trade Expo will be held in Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea from Monday 15th to Wednesday 17th May this year. Held annually, this major bilateral business forum is essential for anyone doing business between Australia and PNG. Join us in Port Moresby. Visit www.bcpng.org.pg or call the Business Council of PNG on 323-8465 or the Australia Papua New Guinea Business Council on 323-7383 for more information.
Umpire does not move. Siren's going to sound to win the game for Sydney on the final siren. Lawrence kicked it. Is it there? Oh, did it make the distance? It's won the game. Lawrence can't believe it.
Control the ball. Here's John Paul running into some open space. They're linking up now with the Stephen Gully. Here they come. The tank is heading for the line with
story in that dressing room of rock that rose from dust. There is courage you can count on and a mateship you can trust. There comes a time when you must fight.
It's onto the back plane.
And it lights an inner fire that electrifies the night. Yet, above the heaving cauldron and beyond the mighty game, there's a legion in your corner and its colour bleeds the same.
Whiten, yes! Pull it for Holmes! What a ball! What a try to Valentine! Over the top, it's an open passage for Tupou. Is something cooking here? You bet it is! Now Cleary, oh God! It's been pitched by Ben Hunt. And wins the Origin for Queensland.
And welcome back. In sports, the KPHL PNG Junior Tennis team is currently competing in the 2023 West Pacific Regional Championships in Port Vila, Vanuatu. Led by 2 coaches, the team comprises 14 players, including 2 from Lae and 2 from Sydney. The championship is the first step towards regional representation under the Oceania Tennis Federation banner. If the players finish in the top 2 places in their respective age groups, they will be selected for the West Pacific team to compete at the Pacific Oceania Junior Championships in July-August 2023. The team is sponsored by Kumul Petroleum Holdings Limited with support sponsors. Despite their gutsy 18-10 win over the Mackay Cutters last week at the Santos National Football Stadium, the PNG Hunters still have a big job in front of them to get better in their next hit-out at home against the Ipswich Jets on Saturday in round 8 of the Host Plus Cup. Hunters coach Stanley Teppen said while it's good to get a win, more work is yet to be done. A more polished-up performance is what Hunters coach Stanley Teppen would be expecting from his boys when they host Ipswich Jets in round 8 of the Host Plus Cup this Saturday at the Santos National Football Stadium. While the Hunters are in a bit of a high after picking up their first win back against the winless Mackay Cutters last week, Teppen has again re-emphasized the importance of consistency in defense and the attacking sets with less penalties.
I think we defended a lot. We defended back-to-back sets, but credit to the boys. They scrambled well, they defended well. So this week we gave them a longer period off just to look after injuries. But today we'll have one last training captain's run and then ready to go on Saturday. Yeah, there is this one forced change. Sherwin Tanabe got a crack on his shoulder, so he'll be out for over a month, 5 to 6 weeks, which is disappointing. He picked that up early in the game, I think in the first 5-6 minutes. So that sort of set us off where we had to make a rotation there with Apple going to the second row. The good thing is Apple adjusted and he played that position before, so it is good. He really played well.
Touching on how the team will look this week, Teppen said Sakias Komati comes back from suspension this week, while on the injury front, young back rower Sherwin Tanabe is out of the team after he picked up a shoulder injury last week. Positional changes will see Apel Capinias move to back rower and Henry Wan starts at prop.
So Henry will start at prop with Junior. But other than that change, Saki comes back after suspension, so he'll partner Jamie in the house with Weza at 9. Moray and Rod fly back tomorrow, so they'll join the squad for captain's run on Friday.
Recapping on last week's new halves combination of Jamie Mavoko and debutant Joshua Murray, coach Teppen said the halves played a good controlled game. He was particularly impressed with Murray's spiral kicks, which caused a lot of problems for the Cutters.
Jamie played well, especially his defense. I think those big guys were running at him, and especially close to the try line, he really defended well, and then he put Julius through in there for the try there. So it's good to have that Josh as well, young Josh. I think his kicking game was good. We wanted him to do a little bit more in the second half, but it'll be good for him. But unfortunately, he misses out this weekend. But it's good that he's had a taste of that.
Official confirmation today marked a historic moment for the expansion of what's meant to be the National Football League. The Premier says it not only changes the game, but changes Tasmania, providing a pathway for dreams for young talent, and despite a heavy price tag, he says it's an investment in the state's future. Western Highlander and returning PNG
spiritual home, the scene of its most significant moment.
I'm proud and excited to announce the awarding of the 19th licence to play in the AFL and AFLW competitions to Tasmania. A 19th club.
A standalone club for Tasmania, Team 19 for the AFL in footy heartland. A 30-year fight for inclusion officially over.
This has been a hard fight, hard fought for by many Tasmanians over a number of generations.
An emotional day for Tasmania's legends of the game.
Today's the most historic day in Tasmanian football, and that will only be superseded by the day that the Tasmanian Football Club wins its first premiership.
And a momentous occasion for the next generation.
Talent's going to stay in Tassie now, so when the under-18s girls finish playing the Coates League, they can be drafted to a Tasmanian team in 2028.
2028, the official target date for a team debut, AFLW likely the year after, VFL men's and women's as soon as 2025. Now starts the work of constructing the team. Tasmania is likely to have an increased salary cap in the early years and priority access to some young talent. Rival clubs already beginning the process of warding off Team Tasmania.
Back to the Hunters, Western Highlander and returning PNG Hunters prop Henry WAN is relishing his bold comeback to QRL Host Plus Cup level after a 5-year hiatus for various reasons. When WAN rekindled his love for the game after leading his Western Highlands franchise Wamga Mount Hagen Eagles in the National Rugby League competition over the past 3 years.
32-year-old PNG Hunters' prodigal son Henry WAN is determined to leave his past behind and make the most of his time in his twilight rugby league career. After 5 years out from representative footy and the adversity he had to put up with, WAN admitted he's learnt a lot from his past and very humbled to be back in the Hunters system to mentor young boys.
I've just played my 50th game 2 weeks ago, so I think this one will be my 53rd game. So yeah, it's good to be part of the younger ones, and yeah, my goal this year is to just me personally is to mentor the younger ones, and bigger one is to hopefully make my go back to the Commonwealth and represent my country.
WAN, along with fellow Hunters Edward Goma and late Kato Otio, was scouted by PNG Hunters Foundation coach and now East Nipigon Governor Michael Marum while playing at the National Confederate Zone Championships in 2015-2016 and brought straight to the Hunters. After his impressive form with the Hunters in 2017, WAN earned a call-up to the PNG Cobbles for the Pacific Cup. After a roller coaster 5 years, the Western Highlander is back for some unfinished business.
For me, I played a few Diesel Cup and then I came through, but yeah, few other guys, when I made my debut, there were a few guys, they came from the zone side, and to be part of the Hunters was it was like a dream come true, for every player to have a dream and to make into that side it's like a dream, and for us.
After starting off the bench for the past 5 games, WAN has been promoted to the starting 13 to partner Junior Rob in the front row for this weekend's Jets game and said he's ready to rip in.
As a team, there's still room for improvement, so we're still working on it, and I know the last week our win can have an impact on us, and we can work on from then.
And this is the sports segment for tonight.
Thank you, Terry. That ends another edition of TV1 News. Thanks for your company. Until tomorrow, bye for now.
Bye.
The TVWAN News was proudly brought to you by
BSP, our bank, our people.